almost daily, almost daily. And it's just wonderful to see her name and to recall her name. And, she is someone that I consider an influencer, a frontline worker, as she dealt with and interacted with people. And it sure would be great that those in the industry are considered, for vaccination opportunities as well.
Okay. There is a comment here, and I'm going to read it from Emily. Hello all, I'm at a search for a common ground and lead on Connects US, a global learning and coordination platform, and we provide funding to 20 media influencers in Kenya and Nigeria and Lebanon and Iraq to run their own campaigns on COVID-19 vaccine awareness in their networks and communities. We call the program Influencers for Change. And you can see that project, and it's on the comment section. So if you know of anyone that that can support the work that Emily is doing, it looks like they're looking for some additional influencers. Please reach out. Any final thoughts? I'm going to give it to Ego if you have any final thoughts that you want to add to conversation. Okay, I think we may have lost Ego.
Okay,
I'll come
no,
back.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay, great, great.
I was just muted. Yeah, no, I just wanted to, my final thoughts, I completely agree, which is why I said that the influencers are anybody of influence. Anybody of influence can be the village head and the midwife in the village, all the way up to a celebrity. Anyone of influence or that people listen to and whose opinion matters to whatever community is what is important. If you call them micro-influencers, that's fine. But I think that it is crucial that we do get some sort of campaign out there, because the numbers coming out of the different countries in Africa is really, really, really very low. And I still find people that I'm meeting people in Nigeria who have not been vaccinated and who have no intention of being vaccinated, they've said to me, because generally the people I meet, I try and encourage them and we have that whole conversation. And so when I meet new people that haven't been, I'm surprised, and they're very adamant about not being vaccinated. So I think that we need to have a really serious campaign, that goes out to, the entire community, all the way down from the towns into the little villages, and to spread the word about the importance of vaccines and and taking the vaccines. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the comments, and this is important. What about when international singers make a misstatement that affects Africa too? Do global entertainers, brand influencers have a role to play? I mean, I think she's probably referring to maybe Nicki Minaj when she said something about, somebody got a vaccine and their testicles, something happened to them, and because he lives in Trinidad and Tobago. And so if you recall, it was a big, a big brouhaha over it. And the health minister had to get involved, and it just a misinformation camp. It was just so unnecessary, and this also happens. So influencers have to be careful.
No, we have a huge responsibility to make sure that when you do come out and speak, you're speaking from a place of knowledge and not just speaking out of ignorance. So it's important that that every individual is educated and that they fully understand exactly what COVID-19 is and, what vaccines can do and cannot do. And obviously, as entertainers, we have a huge responsibility. That was very irresponsible of her to go out and speak like that without the knowledge. And I guess some of the time people, she must realize how huge her platform is. But I think that sometimes people say these things without really thinking about how it might impact so many people. And when the news stories just, blew up, I just thought, my goodness, what a,
Yeah, it was
what a major
it was
boogie
very
that
difficult.
was.
Yeah,
Yes,
unnecessary.
yes,
So let me, I
yes.
think this question, the next question I want to bring back, and then we need to wrap up from a time perspective, but perhaps, if I can bring back Flavia and Jolene, this question from Bethlehem, you might be able to answer. How are you combating misinformation in marginalized communities where social media is sometimes inaccessible, where they often rely on word of mouth to reach and educate them about the importance of vaccine? Any one of you could answer this.
Thank you so much for that question. I think it's important. I actually noted something similar in my notes, and I forgot to mention it. I think that I speak for as a South African citizen. I think that our campaign has been focused on people who has internet and people who have access to endless data, who are able to stream for a press briefing for 3 hours. And I feel that it's more aimed at the middle class, and it's inaccessible to the majority, because the majority of South Africans do not have access to the internet. And I feel that government should be taking the campaign to the ground and educating, like they did during the time of the HIV/AIDS epidemic. We were so afraid as children, because it was everywhere. It was on TV. It was at our schools. We had plays at our schools. We had magazines. It was in newspapers. There were cartoons. There was so much information that even now, as an adult, I still remember all those little cartoons, because it so much fear in me. But that is what we are currently lacking. We are on the internet, and we just assume that everyone has access to the internet, when in reality the majority doesn't have access to the internet. So I feel that government should be taking the ground and have more innovative ways to teach across, the same way that they did epidemic.
Yeah, and I agree. And also, from a media standpoint, Flavia had mentioned, I think that the largest listen to the radio station is where majority of the population gets their information. And that could be an avenue, just public service announcements consistently, so people can understand what this is about. If there's no access to internet, most people would have access to radio, maybe not TV. And that could be one way to give out this information. Michael, let me come back to you if you have any final thoughts before I turn it over to Rebecca.
Hey, thank you very much, Helen, and thank you for a phenomenal job you did today. You really extracted, and I learned quite a bit today. But my only final thought is that we all have a platform, even if it's only 10 or 15 people, and we all have to be influencers. There is a role that employers can play relative to employees. I think government has a role, but I think each of us has to use our own platform, wherever it is, however big it is, to let people know that they have a social contract. We have a contract with each other to ensure that we keep each other safe. It's not about me all the time. It's about those that may be affected by what it is that I could bring to the table. And thanks so much again for allowing me to be part of this webinar today.
Excellent. Any other questions from our audience? All right. So Rebecca, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Helen, for the great conversation, and thank you all to the panelists for the information and knowledge that you shared and strategies. And I also want to thank all the people that participated and shared information and questions in the chat. I want to really summarize a few key points that I heard from today's conversation. And it is to provide accurate information, verifiable information, and simplify the message. Really help doctors get over the media shyness that they have, or reservations. And to that extent, how can we actually, as journalists, assist them in that process? Education is an issue. I think people in general are well-intentioned. They want to do the right thing. They're lacking information. their feeding of a lot of misinformation that exists. Encouraged by Michael's poll that 90% are really receptive to getting vaccination. The rate of interest in vaccination or hesitancy varies in Africa very, very widely, from about 34% to about 90%. So provide information and training providing accurate information and training is very important. And then in terms of the role of influencers, who are those influencers? That too varies. So as you clearly defined, Helen, is there like micro influencers, the people we interact with on a regular basis, people that are in our community, people that are our family members, but also the superstars that are influencers. So there is no one group of influencers, and they actually vary. Some of us may not be swayed by superstars, but swayed by people that we trust and that are part of our, inner circle. So use any influencers that will provide accurate information. And I heard consistently that we have not really fully launched campaign around vaccine hesitancy or promoting vaccines, and so there's a lot of work that still needs to be done in that area. Our approach has to be systematic, and that is why ANADAC Group and RNDA